We put up our Christmas tree last weekend, and this tree is probably about 20 years old. I am so committed to this tree because I love the color of it. It's like a color mixture and just really soft. I love the shape of it. I love the height of it. I like just the foliage itself, like what the needles look like. The thing I absolutely hate about this tree is that, well, first of all, it's pre-lit. None of the pre-lit work anymore, and so there's that. Those are really highly overrated in my opinion. But the other thing is this tree loses needles like so big and bad. Even just sitting in its position, nobody touching it, it's just like losing needles underneath it. But when we put it up with all just the bustling around with it, you know, there's just this huge pile of needles up from the basement, up the stairs, into the living room, across our white carpet. And I have this big plush carpet in my living room over our wood floors that I should have had the forethought to roll up before we put the tree up, because we do this like every single year, but of course I don't remember that. And so after we got the tree up and the white carpet is just like covered in green needles, I vacuumed it. Some of it came up, most of it didn't, because it's like really getting stuck in it. Like I said, it's really plush, so like those needles kind of get in there a little bit and then they're like stuck. So I really spent like an hour and a half after I vacuumed it, like going through section by section with the little hose end of the vacuum and trying to get it like close up, sucking it, you know, with a powerful suction shark vacuum, really strong. And it still wasn't pulling those needles out of the carpet. And so I was like on my belly, like pulling the carpet fibers apart, trying to pull these little individual needles up and suck them up with the vacuum. And every time I'd get a section done and I'd move on my belly to another section, kind of look back at a different angle, and I'd see these little green needles just sticking up. And it took me so long. And at the end of the day, I think that rug will probably have Christmas tree needles in it for the life of this of the life of the rug. Like, as long as we have this rug, we're probably gonna have the needles from this year in it, because I didn't have that foresight to realize that. And it's because I was so committed to this tree, which by the way, I'm probably gonna get rid of at the end of this year. So if anyone wants a really pretty tree that loses needles all over the place, I'm probably gonna trash it. But it kind of reminded me, as I spent that like hour and a half on my belly trying to get every single needle collected, that it's like sometimes we're so committed to things that could be a good thing in our life, or we think is a good thing, or maybe it's just habits that we've had. I've had the habit of putting this tree up for 20 years, so it's just what I do, that like things could be easier, and the residue of what we're doing and the reaction of that, and the whatever comes from that, the circumstances, they can hang around forever. So then whether that's like sin in our life that is just normal, we just go about our business and just ignore it and or do it anyway because it's just how we are. It could be part of our personality, you know, like I blow up, I have a bad temper. Well, like those things can wreak havoc for so much longer. If we're not careful to weed them out. I mean, it's like the after effects of things that we do, especially the things that are just part of our habit and our routine. I mean, it could be with your health, you know, if we're just used to eating a certain way, the ramifications of that can stay around years after we change to better behavior, if we even change, because we're just so used to what we're doing, it's hard to change. But it's like, as I weed through the fibers of the carpet, I just kept thinking for over and over and over that something in our lives can cause that much damage. Like, we can see the consequences of that forever. And is it worth it? I know that God can come along and completely heal things that we've done to ourselves. He can, like, the drug addict that suddenly has no desire and completely has no consequences left, or has no health issues left, or as if like God's made them completely brand new person. He can do that. He does that a lot. But sometimes the natural consequences are that those little pieces from whatever it was we were doing, whether it is a sin or whether it is a bad habit, or whether it's how we treat our temple of the Holy Spirit, those things get so interwoven into the little pieces of our lives that we may see forever on this earth. Good thing is, once we get to heaven, all of those things are gone and healed, and no more tears, no more pain. But as long as we're here, they could, if we had just had the foresight to cut that thing off before we did it, or to change the habits before we got into them, or when we saw the needles falling when I was carrying up the stairs, to roll up the carpet, you know, to prevent some health damages, to prevent any damages. If we just have a little foresight, we could get rid of like a lifetime full of little pieces that show back up in our lives that are regret. One last thought, someone please remind me to roll up that rug before we take the Christmas tree down. Let's walk in wisdom. Be blessed.